changed. The love we had, don't you know?
Beat makers, crack music.
All right. Good. My boy, Halim, welcome back. Welcome back to Professional Etiquette and Style, the podcast where you dive into unwritten rules of professionalism and the little details that can make a big difference in your career. So today I'm joined by my good brother, 20 plus years I've known you, Mr. Halim Wise. I've worked ahead of HR multiple companies. He'll get into that. And, today we're going to explore how workplace dress codes have shifted, the role personal style plays in professionalism, and whether the standards of etiquette and workplace presentation have truly evolved for better or taken a step back. So I think this is going to be a great conversation for our first episode. So I just wanted to say thank you to my brother Halim. First episode, first of many. And yeah, man, tell us a little bit about who you are.
I appreciate that, man. And yeah, looking forward to it. Definitely gonna be fun. So yeah, I've been doing HR for almost 30 years, which sounds crazy to say out loud.
Okay.
I know, like Kevin Hart, like damn. So been like you said, head of HR. I've worked at Meta, Citibank, Warner Brothers Discovery, or whatever it's called now. It was Time Warner at the time. So been across a bunch of different industries. So I've seen different ways of professional etiquette. I've definitely seen it evolve over time. So looking forward to digging into this.
Good, man. All right. So over the past, since COVID, I would say it probably started before COVID with this dress code. But I guess, so the goal of this the first episode that we have, just a little background in terms of the podcast, is that, we have the book, Professional Etiquette, Unwritten Rules Every Professional Should Know. And I have several unwritten rules in there. Yep. So one of the rules that I have is dress for the job you want, not the job you have. Yeah. Now, being professional etiquette and style, I want to kind of break that down a little bit, maybe from a history standpoint and just in general how we start to dress now. Yeah. But so my first question to you would be, so how has workplace dress codes evolved over the past decade? We can go further back than that, especially with the rise of remote and hybrid work.
Yeah, like the hybrid work and the COVID part of it is a big key. But just going back 10 years, I'd say, and even a little bit more, there was definitely a point in time, especially when we graduated from college. For most industries, especially in corporate America, you were supposed to wear a suit or something close to it. So that was just the way it was supposed to be, not just financial services, but a lot of other places. 10 years ago, it started to get more relaxed, so you could get away with slacks, a shirt. That was still cool. And of course, there was the tech companies, which I've worked at as well, that the way I'm dressed today, this is dressed up for them. So you could wear jeans and a shirt, T-shirt, and you'd be okay. To your hybrid question, it definitely changed a lot because, in essence, you only seeing someone from here up.
Correct.
So first and foremost, you could wear shorts and a shirt like this, like some of the sportscasters, and you don't know what's on underneath. And it's like
that judge under that robe, you don't know what's under there.
You don't know exactly.
Okay.
But then, even on top of that, you did see a difference. You saw some people that would show up to work calls as if they were still in the office. So up here, they may have a button-down shirt or something that still looked professional. But there was definitely some people who were showing up in almost their pajamas or in a T-shirt. It was just like, I'm at home. I'm a dress like I am at home. Mm-hmm. But to that point that you were saying before in terms of dress for the role that you want, in many instances, what you would see is a lot of those people that dressed crazy comfortably, they weren't able to really go to the next level at that company. And some could say that's unfair, or why are you judging me by how I look and not what I actually bring to the table, but like it or not, and to the point that we're getting at here, how you dress and how you present yourself does become a big part of what your next step or your progression looks like.
Correct. And that's one of the things that I try to push in the speaking engagements that we have, especially to the kids, to the high school kids and college kids. And their pushback to me is, well, look at like the Mark Zuckerbergs, or look at we've spoken to Mark Cuban. I saw Mark Cuban down at an Afrotech one year, and he wears t-shirts, jeans, and they're like, well, what about that? Why can't I just dress like that? And my response to them was, there's one Mark Cuban, one Mark Zuckerberg, even Steve Jobs. Remember Steve Jobs at one point, he always wore, I think, black t-shirts or something like that. And they're like, well, what about them? And I'm like, well, that's 3 people, at most 5. Yeah. There are billions of people here. You still have to get back to that dress, that shirt, that tie. I'll even break it back to when we used to come home, when we were younger, coming out of college, and you had a suit on. So when you lived in your block, you had your jeans and your sneakers on, right? Everybody was like, hey, what's up? What's going on? But then when you throw that suit on and you walk on that same block, those same people treat you differently. Yeah. So what I try to tell the kids is, imagine that same perspective of how those people in your block treated you differently because now you have a suit on or a blouse if you're a woman, versus how the people in your job are going to treat you. They're going to look at you differently. You command a different level of respect when you dress differently.
Nah, look, man, I agree 100% with that. And funny, so when I was in college, I had a temp job. And so this was in the mid to late 90s. I had on jeans. I'm like a 32 waist. I had on pants that was like 38, 40.
Yeah.
Like still the baggy era.
Culture was coming over into the corporate world.
I was comfortable like going to work like that because I thought it was cool. And I'll never forget, I was on the 2 train here in New York, going to work, and I saw someone we went to college with, and she had on a suit. And to your point, as soon as I saw her in the suit, I was like, hold up. She's wearing a suit. She has to be doing something right.
Yes.
Now, whether that's right or wrong to think that way, that's the way I thought of it. Correct. I was like, she has to be doing something because she's wearing a suit and I'm not. And I'm looking around the train and most are not. So straight up went up to her and I was like, what do you do? Yeah. And she's like, oh, I got this internship through Inroads. Shout out to Inroads. And I have to dress this way for work. So I just started digging in, like, what's the company you at? What does it take to be in Inroads? So she was breaking it all down. You have to have above a 3.0 GPA. They get you these corporate gigs. So then I was like, how much you making an hour? I'm not going to remember the exact number, but I want to say it was like anywhere from $15 to $20, which at that time was like,
yeah, that was,
right? I'm trying
that was
to make
that.
like 7 or 8.
Exactly.
So I'm like, you doubling what I'm making. So first, that thinking of you in a suit was carrying power turned out to be right in that situation because she was doubling what I was making. And then second, I realized I got to get myself on the path to get part of this internship, but also how you dress does become a part of your success, at least at that point, and
Correct.
For where I was going. So that was one big thing that I realized. To the first set of your points on the marks, Cuban, Zuckerberg, you name them, it also depends on where you're working. True. So in a tech environment, back to, like I was saying, my experience at Meta, going to work in jeans and a shirt is okay because that's the way that Mark Zuckerberg dresses and a lot of the people there. But I will tell you, there's still people there that dress up, but we'll put that aside. In financial services, for the most part, you still either suited and booted or you got to be kind of dressed up. If you try to go to work with baggy jeans and a shirt, they're going to be like, first of all, literally, we have a dress code. And second of all, this doesn't fit.
But what I've seen, but the thing is, that's funny is what I've seen is I've seen people come to work, jeans, cut off Metallica t-shirt. Yeah. And those used to be the tech people. Yeah. Because they had their own little section and they were computers always behind basically closed doors, right? But then after COVID hit and it became dress for your day, I've literally seen women come into the office like they just came from the yoga studio. Yeah. Before you couldn't wear flip-flops. You had to wear a collar shirt, which you mentioned. But now it's like, I don't know if you're coming to the meeting or going into your living room. Yeah. Like, what are you doing? And I would still try to maintain, I wear a suit on Tuesdays and Thursdays, call them like, tie Tuesdays, tie Tuesday, Thursdays. But it got to a point where if I wore a suit, then the joke became, oh, you must be looking for a job.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's funny. So, like, that's the thing. That's where I go back to. You got to be mindful of where you work and what that work environment is like. And so to your professional etiquette point, part of it is the environment that you're in and dressing for success in that environment. Now, athleisure is a big thing. So, women coming to work with tights or guys coming in a certain way, that happens. But still in all, you got to earn that spot in a lot of instances. And to your point of where you want to go to, if you're looking to ascend, in a lot of instances, how you present yourself is going to be part of your ascension.
Yes.
If you look disheveled, because there's a way you could dress up jeans and a t-shirt or the Metallica shirt, but you could dress up other parts of it that you still look professional. But if you look disheveled or you look like you about to play ball, that's not the look, because then it translates into how people look at you. So if you look like you're about to play ball, then they're looking at you like you're about to play ball, not that you're in a meeting. So when you're presenting yourself as articulate and well-grounded as you may seem, some of them are going to be fixated on how you look.
Correct. They can't get past what you have on.
Correct. And I know we're talking about clothes, but look, I'm going to go into a taboo space because there's a lot of people that got different piercings and tattoos. They're looking at the whole thing. And I'm not going to ever say don't have those things, because I got earrings, tattoos, but like it or not, at least be mindful that people are looking at your whole appearance and they're taking it all in. And we all have our biases. And when you show up with this and that and the third, in their head, they already have a certain image or profile of you.
That is true.
Before you say a word. Again, it doesn't mean you have to change, but just understand how they're looking at you. The same way if we look at someone and they got on something corny, you be like, look at this guy. What is this guy doing over
seriously? Not taking him seriously. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like it goes both ways.
So that leads us right into our next question. So from your perspective, which I'm thinking you're going to agree, does the way employees dress still impact how they're perceived in terms of professionalism, credibility, and leadership potential?
Look, let me tell you. The professional answer I'm supposed to give is, of course not. No, it doesn't happen. The real answer is yes.
Yes, it does. Exactly.
And,
yes, it does.
The levels of impact depends on the person and the judger. Let's just call it what it is. A judger meaning it could be your manager, it could be a peer, it could be a next level up that sits in another department. But the long story short of it is, it does impact it, because if you show up every day and you look like trash, they're going to be like, what's up with you? If you look presentable and you're able to communicate well, that does help. Like, that
Correct.
allows you to kind of show up better to people, and then they want to give you more opportunities and want to give you more assignments. I know that's hard for some people to hear and digest, but it just is what it is. And I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon, because, again, people are human. There's a reason why they say first impressions last.
Yes.
All of these idioms are things that came out of reality.
Exactly.
They're not myths.
Exactly.
Like, they really do happen.
And from experience, that that's something that happened in terms of, I'm thinking some people will give you more leeway if you're dressed the part and you really don't know the information than the flip side. Because when they see that first impression, they see you come through the door and you're dressed a certain way, they'll listen and they'll give them, if you don't know what you're talking about, it takes like, wait a minute, this person has no idea what they're talking about, but they look good. Yeah. Rather than, as soon as you walk through the door, you're not dressed right, I'm not listening to you. It's going to take me a longer time to really sit there and listen to you. And to your point, what you made earlier, get past what I'm seeing.
Yeah. I mean, look, the presentation matters. Again, I try to not get wrapped up in the presentation just as a personal preference, but oftentimes how you present yourself, whether it's your look or even how you communicate, people get tied up in it. Look, I've seen a lot of people in work environments that don't really know shit, but they present well with nice words and nice slides, and you're like, oh my God, they're brilliant. And you're like, they didn't say nothing.
Exactly.
And it was 5 slides of the same thing. What was the punchline? Or when you dig into the details, it just doesn't add up. But then there are other people who know their stuff, but they show up like weird, and people are not even paying attention to them at first because they're like, oh my God, that guy's shirt is so wrinkled. Like, did he just crawl out of bed?
Yeah, like, huh?
It's like, well, I can't trust
like
them. That's the way they present themselves.
Did they just come from the living room right here, or did they take the time to? It's even. And then I was gonna get to the bonnets. I saw a young lady one day wear a bonnet to the office, and I really couldn't. I wanted to say something to her so bad, but it's like, it's this whole, I should be able to dress the way I want. No.
Well, okay, so
no.
Listen, this is an interesting thing, and I know I'm probably jumping ahead a bit, but every generation goes through this, but we're at an interesting point, and I feel an inflection point of different generations entering the workforce, and I'm going to stereotype for a second because we have older children.
Yes.
Gen Z in particular, and then a little bit to the millennial population.
Whew.
What I love about them, honestly, is they in some instances, push and ask questions on things and challenge things that have long been seen as a tradition, or well, you should dress in a suit, or you should look this way. Well, why? Why are you judging me on my look as opposed to what I actually bring to the table? I love that notion.
Okay.
The problem is you're still entering into a workforce where the power dynamic is not you. Just like when we entered into the workforces like Gen Xers, the baby boomers and some of the silent generation, they was running the show. Hence why we wore suits. You know, you look at some of these old shows, cats was wearing suits to like in the house. Like they was chilling.
Yeah,
like, there's
remember
no
back in
pajamas.
the, if you look at these, if you look at I have the picture, Great Day in Harlem.
Yeah.
Right? I think that was in the, might have been the 40s.
Yeah.
But the kids used to wear full suits outside playing.
Yes.
They would wear dress pants to
Yes.
play. So it's like, I don't know how we went from that to this, but you always dressed up back
But that's
then.
the thing. So, but then and you asked the last 10 years, but we saw the progression go from, like you said, the 40s, 50s, like you was dress. Then it got to like the 70s, 80s, where you would see like some jeans, then or dungarees as it was called. Way
Well,
back
I would
in the
actually,
days.
I would. I think it actually started with wearing sneakers first on like a Friday.
Yeah,
You know, because people wear a suit with sneakers for
sneakers.
comfort,
Yeah.
and then it went from sneakers
To
to
the
your
whole
point to
thing.
dungarees.
Yeah.
Then you would wear like sneakers, dungarees, and a button-up shirt and a sports jacket. Then it went from that to polos.
Yeah.
Then from polos to t-shirts.
So it was like you do all of that,
Mm-hmm.
and so as time is going on, the dress code period, forget work for a second, has just shifted, and then of course that then pulls into how you dress at work. But then one other thing I would add is it's not just the evolution of the work styles, but also you should be mindful not just of the company you're working at, but also the job that you have.
Correct.
So for example, if I'm, and you mentioned before, if you're like, let's say in an IT, like not even tech forward, but like an IT job, you could be like dressed however, because honestly, no one's interacted with you. But if I'm in a sales job, or
Yes,
I'm in a
that is
wealth
true.
management job, or I'm in a business development job where I got to go out there and get business for the company and represent what that company has, my appearance matters even more because it's not just about me. I'm representing the whole company based on
Correct.
how I show up. Again, not just my attire, my accessories, everything. So all of these things need to be considered when you're looking at professional etiquette, the evolution, the company, the industry, the role, where you are in your career, and then where you want to get to. They should all come into it. And I'm not trying to have people overthink it, but you should, again, I always say, just be mindful of it. You could deny or disagree with whatever is set up, but don't act like it doesn't exist.
Correct. That is true. And even to the people who have to wear a uniform.
Yeah.
So I mentioned that in a sense of people who work at like a Target or a Walmart or somewhere where you have a standard uniform. The goal is don't have a wrinkled shirt. Make sure your clothes actually fit and not they're too tight or too loose. Make sure they fit with your size. You know, like if you're like you mentioned, like my waist was a 32 back in the day. I was wearing like a 40 jeans, but no, get a 34 if you're 32. You know, get a little bit of space, but not too much. And make sure your appearance is neat. To your point, make sure you're well groomed. Make sure your nails aren't long and dirty. You know, make sure your hands are clean. I also cover, you know, because you want to shake somebody's hand and. I'm not shaking your hand if your nails, you know, it's the truth. Remember back when we were younger, it used to be what people recognize about you when they see you, they look at your watch and your shoes.
Yeah.
Now I can't find a store, a place to shine shoes anymore. They used to be all throughout Manhattan. I can't find them anymore because now people are not wearing shoes. They're wearing sneakers or sneaker shoes or something like that. But to the dress code point, it was if you have a uniform, make sure it's neat.
Yeah.
You know, don't come there and have it dirty. And means if you don't have an iron, put it up in the shower while the steam is on or something. I don't. But
But you're right. Like no matter what you're wearing, it's like that's back to whatever you're wearing, whether it's a uniform, whether it's a suit, whether it's a t-shirt and jeans, just present it in a way that doesn't look like you don't care.
Correct.
Because again, the underlying assumption is if you don't care about your own appearance, how could you care about this work or care about me? I'm not saying that's right. I want to keep continuing to pound that point.
Correct,
But like it or not, there's going to be some people that look at you that way. And again, there's a huge chance that it's someone that is either a manager or a few levels above you that's looking at you that way because they're going to be older.
Correct.
And so they're used to, you know, in the 40s, like wearing a suit and all of this other stuff. And they're used to then seeing like when we started working wearing a suit still, or then like it's a shirt and pants,
Correct.
because that's what they've seen.
That's what they're used to.
When they see someone that doesn't dress like this immediately, like, are you taking this seriously? And it's going to take them a time to adjust to it, even if they know that other younger people are dressing that way. And so they may actually look at you and say, well, if you're not put together well, you're not serious, and therefore I'm not going to give you a promotion, or I'm not going to give you more money. Again, it doesn't make it right, but...
So leading to our next question in terms of right and wrong, you know, so how would you say that organizations balance allowing employees to express individuality through their style while maintaining a professional standard?
Yeah, so look, most companies will have some semblance of a dress code. Mm-hmm. And like it or not, more times than not, that dress code came about because someone was pushing it too far. Someone wore something that was too tight.
Exactly.
Someone wore some earrings they wasn't supposed to. Someone did something wrong, because I've been on the other side of it where I've had to create policies where I'm like, you know damn well you shouldn't come to work like that.
And they say, well, it doesn't say I can't wear this.
Nah,
and you're like,
will push it. I mean, honestly...
Common sense, man.
It happens in school. Like, honestly, with my kids' school, it's like they had to send a note out, like, look, you could wear these kind of jeans, but you can't wear, like, shorts that come past mid-thigh or something like that. Why? Because it was some kids going to school with their shorts mid-thigh, and it's like, that's not going to happen.
Correct.
Because they said, but you don't say I can't wear it.
Yeah.
So what I've seen, and so to your question, it's based on the dress code of whatever that company is, and that becomes a foundation to determine what you can and can't wear, not just within the policy, but then there's the practice within the policy, meaning there's the unwritten rules, which is, all right, our policy says this, and a lot of the rules are flipped. You don't wear a suit to work unless it's a gigantic presentation or you're going for an interview. That could be an unwritten rule or practice. It's not going to be in a policy.
Correct.
And so those are the kind of things you should be mindful of. And all that takes is when you go to work, you don't got to dress like everyone else, but be mindful of how people are dressing.
Correct.
If you're the new one,
read the room.
Yeah, like you sit there, 10 people are in the room and they all got button-down shirts and you have a T-shirt. Sure, you could come with a T-shirt next time, but everyone's going to be looking at you like...
Correct. But then that goes back to that Gen Z... millennial thought process as well. If everyone wearing button up, I want to wear a T-shirt. Yeah. I want to be different. I want to stand out.
Can't be different.
But they're standing out in the wrong way sometimes. Like, you're going to be different standing outside, literally.
Look, and then you're going to get mad because you're going to come to someone like me, whether it's like in a formal capacity or for mentorship, and you're going to be like I didn't get promoted and I didn't get this. And I'm going to be like, well, part of it is this. Well, that's not fair. Life ain't fair.
True indeed. True indeed.
I'm sorry you can't accept that, but... You're the only one not wearing the button-down shirt, and then you're wondering how all of the rest of the people in the room are managers, and you're not.
So, all right. So now going into, because we talked about, you mentioned Gen Z and millennials, right? And how they're pretty much trying to change culture. I see them as culture changers. Mm-hmm. To your point, they question everything, right? So, in your experience, do younger generations entering the workforce view professional style differently than previous ones? Of course, we pretty much answered that for the most part. And how does that affect company culture? It's like kind of like the old guard, and here comes the new guard, and it's always that. It seems to be this fight, but the old guard has the power. Yeah. But the new guard knows, like, no, we have the power too, because if we all do this thing, I'm going to force you to do it. But
yeah, so it's funny because, like, I like to get grounded in stats, and so right now, if you look at wealth, and I'll just start there and then get into how it looks at the etiquette, the majority of wealth in our country is held by baby boomers. Like 60% of it is held by baby boomers. Yeah, right. Yep. I didn't realize this either. It's like and so like maybe another 10% by the silent generation. Then Gen X has like 25%, and then Gen Z and Gen Alpha. I start there because, again, that's the power structure we're coming into work in. So when you're looking at your senior vice presidents, your EVPs, your executives, they're the ones that not only hold the power, they're the ones that make the decision on what job you're going to have, when you're going to have it, and what your performance looks like. Okay. So right there, they're setting the tone for what your career is going to look like in a lot of ways. And stereotypically, they grew up in an environment where you're supposed to dress a lot more formal when you come to work, or just period. Yeah. So I remember entering into the workforce and I was like, oh, these old stodgy guys, why I got to dress like that? Similar to how Gen Z is looking at it. I'm like, don't lose the rebel spirit, but understand you ain't the first ones that had a rebel spirit.
Exactly.
You ain't the,
Isn't the first time this happened.
And
Man.
I showed up, I got my baggy jeans, I'm going to wear 2 earrings, whatever. And I got pulled to the side, I'll never forget, by like 2 women that was like friends that was like, yo, stop. Like, you realize you're hurting yourself. And I'm like, but I'm an individual. And then it finally dawned on me that, yeah, I'm an individual, but I'm hurting myself in my career because I don't look the part.
Correct.
And so to your question, I've definitely seen it change, and it will continue to change that stereotypically, and I have to keep emphasizing that because not all Gen Z, Gen X, and millennials are the same.
True.
But as millennials started pushing it more, and so if you look at a Mark Zuckerberg to the point you just raised, that's the millennial population where it's like, well, why are we dressed up this way? We can dress more casual and still be as productive. Great. Gen Z is pushing it even more. Why do we have to dress this way? Why are we even working these hours? Why are we operating this way?
Yes.
Why can't I work at home? All good questions, but like it or not, back to my power structure point, the way that it's set up today, we don't have the power. Not even Gen Xers. Gen
True,
Zs definitely don't have
the power, yeah.
You got next, but you don't have it. But keep pushing, but be smart on how you push it. So you could push for more fashion forward things that don't feel so stodgy, but in a way that still can fit within the framework and doesn't seem to be like jarring to this older person, if that
Correct.
makes sense.
Yeah,
If I showed up like this, even a boomer in the right environment would be like, all right, I like that color maybe, or something like that. Even if they wouldn't wear it themselves, they could respect that it's a clean look, that it doesn't look like I don't care.
Understand.
And so my point is, I'm a strong believer of, if you want to break the system, get into the system, figure out how the system works, and then break it from
the
within.
inside. Yes.
Because if you try to do it from the outside with the this is broken, this is that, you haven't earned the respect or the cred to be able to do that.
And they're not listening at that.
Exactly.
Yeah. You have to get inside first.
Boom, because then they see you operated with them. It's like, I know your ways, I know this, but I also can show you another way. And honestly, a lot of older people want to be cool. Like, real talk.
Well, to that point, so I would say, so another question. So what's the most common misconception employees have about workplace attire and etiquette today? That you've seen?
I'm going to go to the flip side of it, which is sometimes people are too dressy. Sometimes
Too dressy. Okay.
you're too dialed up in the makeup with the earrings. The guys are too buttoned up in an environment where you don't need to be buttoned up, and that could actually come across like you're trying too hard. I know that sounds crazy.
No, I can see that because the current, like I just had a shirt and tie on, and cufflinks, and a pocket square, and and a lapel.
Like,
yeah,
real
you
talk
too
on
much,
that.
yeah.
Like, I fell back on the, so I was in the cuffling game. I remember, especially in financial services, and then getting out of it when I was in media, because it was like, that was the slim fit era.
Yeah,
And not just
yep.
an era, but the thing
No, it
is,
was arrow because right now
it
that's
ain't
gone.
doing
But
that.
yeah.
If you're doing it and everyone else is doing it, you cool. But if
Yes.
you're doing it and you the only one with the pocket square, with the cufflinks, people are looking at you like, again, where are you going? You
Yeah,
going to the interview? Are you trying too hard? So that's why I'm back to, it's a nuanced view of knowing your environment, know your role, know your own style, know your own value, and then formulate how that could, again, fit within wherever you're working or whatever you're doing, so you have your own identity. Because in the end game, people don't want to, like, if you really are looking for a leader, the leaders stick out. They don't do what everyone else is doing. They have something special that they bring to the table, not just talent, it's other things. And so that's something that it's hard to define, but just it's again being mindful, like you said, read the room.
Yeah, and taking it in. So I would say, I remember working when I did an internship. During school, I was at Soros Fund Management, right? And it was a portfolio manager that actually got me the job there. His name was Walter Burlock. And that was this back when we used to have we just got the computer, so we had the screensavers. So I'll put the screensavers like Halle Berry or like some, or Vivica Fox or somebody back in the day. And then one day he came to my desk, he was like, take that off your screen. He was like, what are you doing? And he said, always keep a sport coat on your on your chair. And I'm like, man, why I gotta keep a sport kit on my chair? You know, why do I care? You know, I got my collar shirt, my polo, you know. But he said to me, he said, because if I came onto this floor and I needed someone to go with me to a meeting, right? I'm gonna look around, and I'm gonna look for someone who actually looks the part.
Yep.
You don't have to say a word, but if you have a sport coat, I'm gonna grab you, or I'm gonna grab the person next to you that has a sport coat and say, put that on, come with me.
Yep.
And the thing is, once I started doing that, he did that. And a couple times, a couple of portfolio managers just came on the floor and you would see them. They're about to go to a meeting and they wanted to establish a presence in the meeting, so they needed more people with them. So they would grab everyone who had a sport coat and walk to the, you know, and you just sat there, you didn't say a word, but you listen, you learn things in those meetings. And I was like, wow, it's really dressed for the job you want, not the job you have. Because I didn't have to wear a sport coat, but if I wanted to send to where he was wearing a sport coat. I wasn't. So
no, you hit it on the head. Look, I got similar advice at one point. It was always, whether it's a sports coat or sometimes a suit, you know, depending on if you have to go. I remember when I was at Time Warner, it was like, you don't know if there's going to be a point in time you have to get in front of the CEO. And the CEO's wearing a suit every day.
Yes.
And so you can't go in there with just like slacks and a shirt.
Correct.
You have to have the tie. And then on top of it, you want your tie to be on point. And so also to what you were saying, even without saying a word, they judge you by how you look.
Correct.
Look, you and I, and I'm sure others have also experienced this, especially back in the day, like when we was in our 20s, if you went out and you had, let's say, one outfit with sweatpants and a hoodie on, and you had on ones, right? And you going into a store and you like, what's up? I'm going to get this. Someone's going to walk around and think that you may be up to something, like it or not, because of how you dressed.
Correct.
If I went into that same exact store with a suit on, they're not going to do that.
Unless you saw Boomerang. Remember when Martin?
Well,
it's like,
I do
they
that.
just get it. He just, you know, it's like,
it's facial.
It's facial.
You see how the black balls on the pool table?
So what I'm going to just say, this suit jacket is very expensive. We think I'm going to funk it up to all be damned and then bring it back? But I'm just playing, but I get your point.
The thing is, it's like one, you get perceived differently, and two, I'll be real, especially maybe like early in my career. I don't feel as much about it now, but definitely early in my career, when I knew I was on point with my suit, I felt it. Like,
that's a big part of it.
Power suit, back in the day they used to call it. Maybe they still do, but there was definitely times I went into a room and I was like, okay, nah, I'm on point. Like you said, I got the cufflinks, monogram shirt, like what? And I'm just sitting there like I would say.
But that's the thing. But the feeling, and I always get the feeling you get from dressing up.
Yeah,
you feel more confident. Yeah. So it helps with that confidence. You know, it helps. It could be false or not, but it helps with it. And it puts you in a position of, like I mentioned, walking down the street. Yeah. When you're walking in, you know, in the Bronx, walking from Gun Hill Road down, it's like the same people that saw me yesterday in the hoodie, now they see me in the suit, like, oh,
like, yo, what you doing? Like, I
did with the person on
the train.
Yeah. And they even tighten up a little bit. It's like, someone's coming. Guy got a suit on, so they, may put the little whatever they doing, they put it away until you walk by because they have no idea who you are, but you look the part.
That's the thing.
So last question for my brother Halim, and once again, I thank you very much for doing this. Like I said, first episode, professional etiquette and style.
Absolutely.
If you can give one piece of timeless advice about professional etiquette and style that applies across all industries, what would it be?
First, in a weird way, know your own style and what you really want to be about. I know that may seem counter to the stuff I've been saying, but what are you about? Do you like colors? Are you a black and white kind of person? Do you like blues? And I know that may sound basic, but it's like, get grounded in that. Second, understand where you're working, whether it's the company, whether it's the industry, how people address it, that place. Okay. Third, understand what your job is meant to be there, and also what the next job is that you'd like to be. If you want to be the head of marketing, a lot of marketing people, because they're in that kind of profession, they have creativity in their attire. They could have a little pizzazz. They may do the pocket square, but it's a colorful pocket square. Yes. Because they want to let you know, I do marketing, I do creative work. I'm not going to be here like this business guy over here that's in a white shirt, etc. Mm-hmm. And then put it all together into how you want to present yourself, because knowing what you bring to the table, knowing what this company is all about, knowing what the role takes, and knowing what you want as the next step, you put that all into one place, and then you're like, all right, this is the image, so to speak, that I'm going for, and I'm gonna work at that. You don't gotta go crazy with it, but I'm gonna work at that. So if you know, look, I look good in a slim fit shirt, I could wear some pants, I happen to like plaids, rock that. If it's, I happen to like coral, rock that. Purple, I went through a whole 5-year purple phase.
You went through your Prince phase?
There you go. Well,
Prince
not
phase?
the easy.
Went to your Prince phase? Huh? That's what you talking about?
There you go, purple rain. But I mean, because what I don't want people to lose sight of, and this is more so to probably the Gen Zers of the world, don't lose sight of your identity. Because I would never ever say put your identity aside and don't be you. I'm just saying be you within that framework, so that way you don't get ostracized or put out, and then you mad. And then you just a mad rapper on the side. That's not going to get you a job.
Right.
It's just
not going to help you out at all.
You screaming, they should care about my individuality. Yes, they should.
But they don't. Yeah.
I'm going to go pick that person that has assimilated better and is still able to have their identity and fit in before I pick someone that seems to just be revolutionary that could actually cause trouble and not show up to work on time. That's the connotation that comes with you. And so I would say that's my advice. Put it all together, your identity, what you want to bring to the table, what the company is looking for, what the role is, all of those things. That's what you should look at.
All right, cool, man. So once again, unwritten rule, dress for the job you want, not the job you have. This was great conversation, man. I appreciate it. Thanks once again, my boy Halim.
Thank you, man.
Boy, Mr. Wise. We learned a lot. Now we learned that while style and dress codes may look different, today professionalism is still about balance. Mm-hmm. It's definitely about balance. Maintain who you are, keep who you are, but work within the confines of where you are.
Correct.
Maintain who you are, but work in the confines of where you are.
Correct.
So once again, I want to thank everybody for joining this first episode, first of many, Professional Etiquette and Style. And now, I'm going to do a segment called 95 Seconds of Etiquette and Style. I want to do that with you, do our first segment of that. So, I have 2 questions in particular.
Let's go for it.
So 95 seconds. Let me count already.
We going to time this?
Yeah. Could you use that timer right there?
Let's go.
So 95. Might be less than 95 seconds, but don't matter. So 95 seconds of etiquette and style. So would you rather have style and no etiquette, or no etiquette but style?
Style and
I said the same thing twice. No. Style and no etiquette, or no style but etiquette. Which one would you rather have, and why?
I would rather have style and no etiquette, but for the professional environment, you would rather have etiquette.
Now, what would you rather have?
Me, I'd rather have style.
You rather have style and just be rude. So you're going to be a nice looking, well-dressed, rude, no thank you.
If I'm really nice looking, like universally nice looking, yeah. Like, cause for me,
so you don't care about etiquette after that?
Nah, I mean, like, you gave me 2 choices.
Hey, pick one. You pick.
But my own personal preference, but my professional point of view would be you rather have etiquette and no style. Because the thing is, etiquette goes such a long way. I could show up to work in a tech environment, for example, and wear jeans and a black shirt with no style. I'm going to be good. I could show up to work at financial services with a blue suit, a white shirt, and a blue or red tie. I got the etiquette. I don't got style, but I got the etiquette, and no one's gonna look at me cross-eyed. They're just gonna be like, "He look plain vanilla" in both of those situations. So etiquette actually helps you get ahead a lot more.
So that's the next question. What takes you further, etiquette or style?
It depends. I hate to use those kind of answers.
Nah, you gotta pick one or another. Used to battle on the roof. The loser had to jump. All right, pick one.
In a corporate environment, etiquette.
So you're right. Etiquette takes you further than style.
Yes.
Okay.
More times than not.
All right. So last question. In one of the unwritten rules, I have a saying. You've heard the first part of the saying. You're early, you're on time.
Yep.
You're on time, you're late.
Yep.
The third part, I take it further in the book and say, if you're late, you're fired. What do you think about when you hear that? And what suggestion would you give to people coming into the workforce if you told them to live by that saying?
I tend to agree in the sense that be early or on time. And as a person that just tends to like to be punctual, it's out of respect also for the other person's time.
Yes.
And it also, I'm a big fan of being efficient. if you're on time, especially if you have one meeting at 9 a.m., if you're 10 minutes late and you show up at 9:10 and your next meeting is at 9:30, you have less time to get through that meeting, and then you have a higher risk of being late for the next meeting, and then your whole day is going to be behind. So I am a firm believer of be on time as much as possible. That said, I'd be remiss in not mentioning the work environment has changed. And so it used to be you should show up at 9 o'clock in the morning or whatever the case may be, because if you're late, you're fired. But now it is more flexible that people are not looking at your time in office that way. There's more of a relaxation of get it done when you can. And that is something that a hybrid work environment and other things have helped to promote, because you don't have to be in at 9, because especially with devices, people start their day at like 8 on their phone. They're answering emails and stuff like that, and then they may be working until 6. So your day is longer anyway you slice it, so there's less of a pressure to say, I got to show up at 9 in the office.
I add to that, it depends on the environment, which you mentioned. If it's in person, if you're ever late, the person's never going to forget it.
Yeah.
Like, so if it's in person, you want to be early. You know, if it's virtual, then yeah, you have the leeway because they're not even really paying attention. Yeah. But that's the one thing. You can be on time 100 times. That 101st time you're late, you'll always be remembered for being late.
Nah, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't go that far?
I can't. I actually am a firm believer. It's funny. If you're on time 100 times, on the 101st time, they'll give you a pass. If you're late the first time,
okay, I
you
get you.
You could be on time 100 times, they still remember, but you was
were
late.
Yeah, okay, that
time, so
that makes sense.
You know what I mean? So
I like that. I like that.
And look, I tell that to my kids. I'm like, I've made a lot, especially when I was younger. I made some horrible first impressions, so I had to learn the hard way that.
And we went way over 95 seconds, but anyway. I was just thinking,
I thought this was the third
I know.
So you're right.
But yeah, I got you, yeah.
But yeah, like so it's funny because that first impression lasts, and so if you are late or you act like a jerk that first time, that sticks with you.
Yeah.
But if you establish being punctual and other things, that time when you're not, people are surprised. They're like, "Oh, where's Bam? Where's Rod? He's usually on time." Yeah. That's what they'll say.
Exactly. Yes.
They
okay,
give you
that's
credit
right.
for it. Actually, they're not trying to like say you're not doing something well. They're just like, you're usually on time and now you're not.
Gotcha.
As opposed to, and I have people I've worked with that it's like, oh, they'll be here a little bit later. You know, they always late.
Always late. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so
people like that in your family.
For real.
So
and our friend. Shoot, we are. So, yeah.
But cool, man. Yeah. But thanks again, man. So that was the 95 seconds of etiquette and style. And, you know, we're going to continue this going. Keep this going. So, you know, thanks again for joining everybody. And